Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA. Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. It's Moving Mountain Monday on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and today will definitely be lit. On Moving Mountain Monday, our favorite millennial, Ernest Krim, will be joining me live today in Mr. Krim's classroom. But today we also have a very special guest because it's going to be lit, along with the state representative, Justin Pearson, who joins me and Mr. Krim on Mr. Krim's classroom in the first hour. Representative Pearson is a member of the Tennessee House of Representatives, representing the 86th District, covering parts of the city of Memphis. He was elected in 2023 special election to succeed Barbara Cooper, who was posthumously reelected in November of 2022, the Tennessee House of Representatives elections, after dying in October 2022, when he was sworn into office at the age of 28. Representative Pearson became the third youngest lawmaker serving in the Tennessee House of Representatives. He and fellow state representatives Gloria Johnson and Justin Jones rose to national prominence when they were expelled in April of 2023 for violating decorum rules by participating in a gun control protest on the House floor. He was reappointed by unanimous vote of the members of the present Shelby County Board of Commissioners. Pearson is currently challenging incumbent U.S. Representative Steve Cohen in the Democratic primary for Tennessee's 9th Congressional District in 2026. We're going to delve into some of that today. And in 2017, Pearson graduated from Bowdoin College in Brunswick, Maine, majoring in government and legal studies with a minor in educational studies. While at Bowdoin, he was Mellon Mays Fellow and was accepted to the Summer Public Policy Institute at the Princeton School of Public and International Affairs. Let me first begin by welcoming my favorite millennial, Ernest Krim, to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Ernest, welcome forward to the show.
Hey, what's up, brother? Thanks for having me again. It's good to see you.
Man, I'm so glad you're here. Let's not waste any time. Let me bring our very special guest, the Honorable Justin Pearson, is joining us in this hour on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Representative Pearson, I'm so glad you're here today.
I am so glad to be here with you. Thank you so much for making the time to have me. I really appreciate it and get to be with you too, Ernest.
You know, it's a rare time when I actually have someone who's younger than me who rises to the level of heroic proportions. But if there ever was one, it certainly is Representative Pearson, the Honorable Representative Justin Pearson, for the amazing stand that he took, dominating the national news, rising almost overnight as a leader of the resistance and the importance of change in our country and standing up for principles and your beliefs. I can't begin to tell you, Representative Pearson, how excited I am to be in your presence.
You are very kind for that introduction, and I appreciate it. Look, we all are doing the work in the ways that we can, where we can, and how we can. And I'm fortunate to God to be blessed in this opportunity to do so in service to our community.
I gotta say too, brother. I don't mean to interrupt, but again, I'm very impressed too, man. I love the example you set and what you're doing, especially for the age group you're in. As someone who was a former classroom teacher, you are the epitome and to me the example of what we want our younger generation. And I can't believe I have to actually say this because I still want to feel like I'm young. You know, I ain't 40 yet. You know, but you could have been my student. But keep up the great work, man.
You know, I just before the program began, I know we're going to have a much deeper dialogue about calling, about ministry, about why Congress, and I know that Representative Pearson also preaches. I'd like to know the theological journey to public service in the public square beyond the pulpit when we come forward. But I just got some amazing news that out of Dallas, Texas, on this day, Reverend Dr. Frederick Haynes III, a very close and dear friend of mine, has now filed paperwork to run for Congress in the seat that is being vacated by Jasmine Crockett. Now, tell me that isn't motivating, inspiring, and amazingly great news.
That is amazingly great news. That makes me so very happy. We need more people, right, that are like theologically rooted in justice and liberation for everybody to be in politics and to be engaged. And we can't separate that for too long. I think white supremacists quite literally have corrupted the gospel of Jesus Christ toward this ethno-white Christian nationalism. And there needs to be a reclamation of Jesus, a reclamation of faith and people of faith into positions of power and office. So that's amazing news. That is amazing news. And he's going to win.
I'm looking very, very forward to the very rich conversation that we're going to have when we come forward. And Ernest, the other issue I think I wanted to touch upon was the expanding list of organizations and individuals that Donald Trump is now willing to go after as part of his retribution campaign, essentially calling much of the activity that Representative Pearson is engaging in, much of the activity that my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, has engaged in, all of our social and civil rights organizations have been engaged in. He's essentially declaring them to be un-American activities. We've been down this road before, but the consequences for the kind of courage, Ernest, that you're showing, the consequences that the kind of courage that Representative Pearson is showing is very rare, and we're going to need a lot of it. More when we come forward on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, our very special guests, Ernest Krim and Representative Justin Pearson.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Preparation, purpose, and passion fuel greatness. Join Brandon Copeland as he shares his journey from a professional football player to real estate investor, professor, and mentor committed in protecting one's wealth on and off the field. See how he turned his experiences and lessons learned into legacy. Discover life-changing plays, moves that build the future, and the importance of financial literacy to protect what matters. Catch the two-part series at casheslife.com/double impact. Brought to you by Nationwide.
Kohl's Customer Appreciation Event is here, right in time for the gift exchange. Even though everyone pretends gifting isn't a competition, it kinda is. At Kohl's, save on gifts everyone will fight over. From sweaters and flannels to air fryers, toaster ovens, and more. Because deep down, the gift exchange isn't just about giving. It's also about winning. Shop Kohl's and save on top gifts now. Select styles, some exclusions apply. Offers end December 14th. See store or Kohls.com for details.
Roger and Tracy saved over $18,400. Cynthia was recovering from a family tragedy and saved over $10,300. If you are drowning in debt, then call Debt Blue. Debt Blue is a professional debt negotiation firm with over 20 years of experience helping people pay back a fraction of what they owe. Learn how to cut your debt up to half or maybe more. Be debt-free in 24 to 48 months, even with bad credit. With an A+ rating from the BBB, you can rest easy knowing Debt Blue is going to deliver guaranteed debt reduction. Debt Blue offers a success guarantee. You pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. That's right. You save money or it's free. Call now for significant debt relief and a free consultation. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879. You don't have to declare bankruptcy. This program works if you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in debt. Call for your free consultation today. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse Jackson. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Show.
Come on and listen to me.
It's Moving Mountain Mondays, and our very special classroom that we have on Moving Mountain Mondays is none other than Mr. Krim's class. Mr. Ernest Krim III has been on a number of national news programs. He's also a history teacher for young people and has been a brilliant advocate for teaching Black American history on social media platforms with nearly 4 million followers. And I'm particularly honored that our very special guest in this hour is iconic, a hero. Representative Justin Pearson is our guest in this hour from the Memphis, Tennessee House of Representatives. You know what? I want to listen to you millennials for a few moments in our largest segment of the program, because rarely can I just kind of sit back and watch two gentlemen that I have such profound respect for engage what's going on. Ernest, let me turn it over to your classroom.
Yeah, thank you for that, man. You know, I think for me, I want to put you on the spot and interrogate you a little bit, because I know we have some parents and we got some folks, some grandparents listening that are wondering, you know, how can I raise my child, my grandchild, to be the next state rep, the next future rep, Justin Pearson. So for me, it's always incumbent upon me to go deeper than where you are now. So what would you say most contributed to you choosing to go along this path? I would say so early in your life. Are there any people in particular, any instances?
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's a great question. Everybody comes from somewhere, and everybody comes from somebody. And what you do with the history that you inherit is ultimately what dictates what ends up happening in our lives, right? For me, I inherited the legacy of my grandmothers, God rest their souls, my grandmama Gwen and my grandmama Pearson, who helped raise my parents and my five brothers and I into the people that we are, with a deep sense and abiding faith in God. And so our faith played a central part in our understanding and sense of the world, and simultaneously the importance of family, and that you are not in this by yourself. You're connected to other people, and your responsibility and your obligation to following a strong faith ethic is important, but that has to show up in how you care for your family, how you make sure that they have what they need, how you stand up for each other, how you speak up for each other. And growing up, it was five boys, all four of us, right? Like we learned pretty early on, y'all together, right? So one happened to somebody, one happened to all of y'all. And when I think about that and extrapolate it into the life that I have, whether that be my classroom peers when I was 15 years old, fighting for textbooks in our classroom, to fighting multi-billion-dollar corporations that were trying to pollute all of our drinking water right here in Shelby County. It's like, well, if something's happening to one of us, it is happening to all of us. And I've got to use the gifts that God has given me to speak up, to stand up in that moment in time. And so I did. I had two strong our family had two very strong Black matriarchs. And so instilling values that there is something bigger than you out there that you are responsible and beholden to is important. And I'll say this because you got me excited. But every time I would go off to college, I was very fortunate to go off to school in a small school in Maine. And anytime I would leave, the matriarch of my family, my Auntie Ethel, she would just say, don't forget where you come from. And it's the same lesson that my grandmothers taught me. My uncles, don't ever forget where you come from. No matter what rooms you have gone into, whether you've been in the Oval Office or no office, you never forget the place that built you into who you are.
That's great, man. So now my follow-up question is for the parents and the grandparents listening who might, maybe they're raising some kids out in LA, maybe it's Chicago, maybe it's Memphis, New York, Philly, wherever, and they want to steer their child, right? Because we know that it's not that easy for a lot of folks. What is one thing they need to do, you would say, to get them to understand why they should be concerned about the path of this country and why they should be more involved right now, no matter how old or young they are?
Absolutely. I mean, we need folks from 5 to 95 and before that and fight. I mean, it's a lot going on. And I think for folks who are raising little people, and I helped take care of 3 of my nephew sons in partnership with their moms, since I tragically lost a brother a year ago by suicide. People call 988 if you're ever struggling. Look, when you're looking at these kids, you also have to look at them and see the future leader. You have to see and speak the future representative, the future doctor, the future firefighter, the future anthropologist. We have to speak life into our next generation of people, because I do believe that part of the reason that I'm a state representative today, the part of the reason why I'm running for U.S. Congress today, is because there was never a time in my life where people told me I couldn't do something. Right. I remember my uncle when I was a kid, he was like, "You're going to be the first Black president," right? President Obama obviously beat us all to it. But that sense that like you are somebody, that sense that you can achieve is really important. And we grew up in poverty, right? We didn't grow up middle class, upper class, any of those things, but we held a faith about a possibility. Right. And we don't want to diminish that, particularly in a time where so many people are telling our kids what they can't succeed and what they won't do, and that they're going to be this or they're going to be that, and that we're not speaking life. So that's one thing. But attached to that is exposure. I grew up in the Black church. My parents took us to a lot of different meetings. I've met a lot of the heroes of our community over the course of my life. And I think that exposure is really important. So go to that Democratic Party meeting, go to that lock-in for kids, like expose your children, your grandchildren to as much as possible so that they can see the world is a lot bigger than maybe the neighborhood.
That sense of somebodyness is a parallel I see, of course, with you, Jesse Jackson Jr. I can speak to my own experience too, having parents that spoke life into me at a point in time that seemed unreasonable. And the same thing with you. I think we have to have a courageous sense of optimism in our Black children at all times in this country, right? So I also know with that, you went viral because you took these tenets serious and stood up for your community at such an important time in history. And you continue to do that. I'm curious to know, how have you continued to stay strong in your faith and who you are after that moment? Because I know with those moments come people outside of who typically you interacted with, who probably came with a lot of vitriol, and I'm sure also with support as well. So what kept you focused during that moment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, look, when these types of moments happen in our lives that we don't expect or anticipate, and it's going to happen to everyone, it already has, and likely will again, it's like we have to know what is true. And having what the ancestors called, right, like the North Star, Polaris, is just really important. And for us, no matter what the winds were, no matter what the difficulty and the challenges, it's like, what is our North Star? And the North Star is being of service to people and prioritizing that. And so when we saw this horrific mass shooting happen in the state of Tennessee and the inaction by my colleagues of the Tennessee legislature, right, the service was still to the people. People like my classmate Larry Thorne, who had been shot and murdered. My mentor, the fall before, Dr. Yvonne Nelson, who had been murdered. My cousin, who had been murdered a few years before that. It's like we have to continue to carry the people who have made us into who we are with us in every segment of our lives. And that kept my North Star. And believe it or not, my expulsion from the Tennessee General Assembly actually strengthened my faith in God, but also strengthened my faith in democracy. Because what happened in response were really millions of people recognizing that there's a destruction of democracy happening in places, particularly in the South, where authoritarianism is growing. And we're now seeing that on a national level. I tell people the South was the lab rats for autocracy, and now it's just gone national with Project 2025 and what's happening with this administration. But what remains true is the importance of advocating, speaking up, and standing up for ourselves, for our community, and for the future we want to live in. One of the things that's really important for me and that I practice, because you make a good point, this isn't every day, right? Because some days are a lot harder than other ones because I'm human, just like everybody else. And sometimes you have more faith, sometimes you have less, sometimes you have more hope, sometimes you have less, right? That's just true. But one of the things that I continue to hearken back to is that faith is calling up a vision of the world that is not yet, but still believing it is possible. And I think when we think about democracy, we know the multiracial, multi-socioeconomic democracy, the pluralistic society that is just, that is equitable, that is fair, is not here yet. But we never want to concede that it is impossible. And it is clinging to that possibility, being motivated by that possibility, working toward that possibility is what gets me up in the morning. It makes me run for office, makes me hold over a dozen town hall meetings, because I don't think the country that I will die in will be the one where gun violence is the number one killer of children in the United States of America. See, I can't accept that as our reality. And so holding to the hope and the faith and what is possible is part of what keeps me motivated and keeps me going.
Let me, if I might ask a question here. You know, in that moment in time, I thought about Julian Bond being denied his seat in the Georgia legislature. I thought even more recently, with a reflection upon your being on the show, about Miss Grijalva not being seated in time during the shutdown, where Democrats might have had some advantages in the negotiations over the release, for example, of the Epstein files. And I think about your courage. On Thursdays on our program, we call it Thought-Provoking Thursdays. Dr. Johnny Mack, who advocates Dr. King's vision of a world house, talks about the fact that all of us, Mr. Krim, Representative Pearson, we're in time, but we're in time over time. And by that, he means from 1619 to the present, the stars have lined up for the life of Representative Pearson. The stars have lined up for the life of Mr. Ernest Krim in this moment. And you have an opportunity to bend the moral arc of the universe. In time, in this moment, what are the factors, Representative Pearson, that came together in your life, in the body politic, in the nation, that called you to a higher level of service?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a powerful thought, right? And one of the things that I love about that quote by the Dr. King often said, right, is you really do have to have benders of that arc. Time of it in and of itself does not bend the arc toward justice. there have to be some people who are pulling on that thing, right? With all their might, all their strength, consistently and persistently for it to go toward justice. It isn't going to happen innately. And so that quote really sums up, I think, the way that I've thought about Dr. King's statement there. I think for me, from my familial perspective, right, you have my grandmothers, you have my two parents who raised all five of us. And, you know, when I was born, they were making $4.25 an hour. My mom left one fast food job to go to another fast food job for 25-cent raise. And today she's earned a doctorate in education from the University of Memphis this past May. My dad, who started, yes, absolutely, who started out as a truck driver, right, earned his master's from Howard University Divinity School, now is a pastor and is a chaplain at the VA and La Bonner Children's Hospital here in Memphis. Right, the arc of my life has shown me that if we are persistent, if we do have faith, if we do have people who support us, if you get more access to opportunity, that you can change the trajectory of people's lives. I am the summation, right? Like I couldn't be anybody else, right? With the grandparents that I had, I couldn't be anybody else with the parents that I had, with the brothers that I have. This is the end result, right? Of my mama Laverne Williams, you know, handed me $20 bills when I was in high school, and I would save the money until I had enough to pay for ACT test that my mentor in high school, Robert Schuler, would help train me for, right? Like I really do believe it's the stars aligning, yes, but I really do believe this is what happens when we give people the necessary opportunity, the necessary investment to be who God wants for them to be. And then what you know, what I know, what we know here, and most of the folks that you have listening, is that who gets access to these opportunities is really limited. And so my life story has become an exception to a rule that should have been quite different. Most children of the parents, of teenage parents like my parents were, they had their first kids at 15 and 16, right? They had me at 20 and 21, and my baby brother came a few years later, but they had four of us within 5 years, right? By the time they were 20 and 21, they had four young Black sons. The statistics don't even exist for how many of those people born into those conditions ultimately earned higher education, right? It's so few. And so I am an exception to a rule that oftentimes leaves us more impoverished, leaves us with more debt, leaves us with fewer opportunities. And I believe the reason I am in this position is to say, how do we stop having so many exceptions to the rule and instead change the paradigm itself?
I had the great privilege of serving in the Congress of the United States with Harold Ford Jr. I served in the Congress of the United States with Representative Steve Cohen. I can say right now in this moment without any equivocation, Memphis, Tennessee, y'all need to send this brother right here to the Congress of the United States, and y'all need to do it as soon as possible. We're building an army of people who are going to fight for us. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580, Mr. Kim's Classroom. More with Representative Pearson when we come forward.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is blasting President Trump's comments about Somali immigrants. Appearing on CBS's Face the Nation, Omar called the president's comments disgusting.
These are Americans that he is calling garbage.
Trump recently said Somali immigrants, quote, ruined Minnesota, end quote, and called them garbage, adding Omar should have never been allowed in Congress. This week is key in the fight over Obamacare subsidies. Senate Democrats secured a vote on extending the tax credits, which are set to expire this year. GOP lawmakers admit they're struggling to craft a fix, while Chuck Schumer's plan to extend subsidies for 3 years heads to a vote Thursday. And starting next year, the Trump administration is changing the free admission days for national parks. Martin Luther King Jr. Day and Juneteenth will be removed, while President Trump's birthday, also Flag Day, will be added. The Department of Interior is labeling these days as resident-only patriotic fee-free days. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams have the best record in the NFC after pounding the Arizona Cardinals Sunday, 45-17. The win puts the Rams at 10-3, a game ahead of the Chicago Bears, who lost to Green Bay Sunday. 3 more touchdown passes for Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. The Rams had 530 yards in total offense. The 8-4 Chargers are at home tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles at SoFi. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert is going to start tonight, 1 week after having surgery to repair a fractured bone in his left hand. Tavis Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers are the #1 seed in the college football playoffs. Undefeated Indiana beat Ohio State Saturday for the Big Ten Conference Championship. Indiana will have a first-round bye. They will play the winner of the December 19th Oklahoma-Alabama game on New Year's Day at the Rose Bowl. Each school in the 12-team playoff bracket will receive $4 million. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Established in 2020 during a time of deep racial unrest across our state and country, the Black Freedom Fund was created to make sure that leaders and organizations working to support Black communities and build power have the resources they need to stay in the fight for the long haul. We believe that those closest to the issues impacting our communities know best how to solve them. That's why in just the last 5 years, we've granted more than $45 million to over 200 grassroots organizations across California. That is the largest collective investment in Black organizing in history, and we're just getting started. We are clear-eyed and committed, more now than ever, to our people, our power, and our possibility. Join us in creating a future where Black people harness their full power to shape their lives and realize a just world for all. Learn more at fundblackfreedom.org. That's fundblackfreedom.org. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
The only thing between you and your best self is a start button. This Cyber Monday, explore the world with Nordic Track. From the peaks of Peru to the streets of Paris, every workout moves you somewhere new with iFit trainers leading the way. The equipment's amazing, smooth, quiet, and those screens make it all feel real. Ready to start your next workout adventure with the #1 treadmill brand in the U.S.? Shop NordicTrack.com for Cyber Monday savings. Nordic Track. Train anywhere, explore everywhere.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580, our very special Moving Mountain Mondays, as always, in Mr. Krim's classroom, our very special guest is none other than Representative Justin Pearson, a hero to many, and certainly a hero to me. And in this moment, I'm saying to myself, man, what a privilege it would be to serve in the Congress of the United States with Justin Pearson and Reverend Freddie Haynes and Ayanna Presley and Ilhan Omar and the new generation of fighters who are connected to history and are more than prepared to lead this resistance. When I think about your age, Ernest, and I think about Representative Pearson's age, you know, we lost Martin Luther King Jr. at 39 years old, and we lost Malcolm X at age 39 years old. You're right in the pocket, team. Representative Pearson, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much, my friend. It is so imperative, as you mentioned, that we have young leadership, but it's a recognition and a weight that you're articulating too, because we lost these leaders in their 30s. They started in their 20s, right, helping to change and transform this country, which is why we know younger leadership is so important, so necessary. And you sometimes get rebuffed, even being a young leader. And I try to bring forward to people's remembrance just what you articulated. You know, Dr. King in Montgomery was 25 years old. You have to steward young leaders. And when he wanted to quit leading the Montgomery Improvement Association, it was actually the elders who told him, no, we're not accepting your resignation. So we need younger voices, but there's a great song, Glory, in the movie Selma, that says we need the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. Right, welcome to the story we call victory. That's what we need in this moment in time.
And when we find that story, Representative and Professor Krim, when we find that story where the energy, the young people, the inspiration, the encouragement, the motivation is connected to that wisdom of the elders. I'm sitting here listening to a grown man when I listen to Representative Pearson. When I was in Congress, they called me the historian of the Congressional Black Caucus because I knew the history just like you know it, Ernest. And so when it comes together with the energy, something very, very special happens. Representative Krim, let me allow you to continue your interrogation.
I think to you all's point too, it's so important for us to strengthen those bonds with our elders. You know, I've been doing a project locally right now where I've been interviewing folks in Joliet, Illinois, and it has done something for me spiritually to be able to sit down with folks of another generation, sometimes as old as 90, and just pull and extract lessons that aren't included in our books. And we have to remember, you know, we can't get to where we're going unless we learn from their successes and that perception of failure. Social media has done a lot to take us away from that communication. And that's something that we have to bring back. You know, I'm big on third spaces and having spaces we can gather. That has to come back. So with that said, that brings me to my next question then, Rep. Pearson. Outside of your family, who would you say was that person for you of another generation that inspired you and mentored you?
Yeah. You know, he wasn't technically my family, but my Papa Jay served in the United States Air Force. He was the elder at our church, and he was the oldest living member at the time when we first went to Community of Faith Christian Church. But he served in the United States Armed Forces. He was in the Air Force, and he was also, you know, a part of the Black Panther Party. And he had a lot to say about this country that he loved, that he fought for, and also the challenges that he faced and that he saw, right? And I think we are in a place where people are refusing to interrogate the history of our country, believing that it will make people more fearful, it'll infuse hate. But we have been telling the history of America through the lens of liberation that we have fought for, because indeed, anytime America has moved forward in its ideals, it's been because of Black Americans, right, voicing the consciousness that is necessary to create change, whether that be to end the Civil War with 200,000 Black people fighting on the side of the Union after the Emancipation Proclamation that saves America, saves this flag that's behind me, or whether it be the Civil Rights Movement, which obviously the Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. was a part of and helped to lead and participate in. It's just like we always make the ideals of the country more real. And it is so important to talk to folks who have walked the walk and talked the talk for decades. And he was one of the elders that I really looked up to. And the way that I think about it is, if I'm 30 and I'm talking to someone who's 80, there's 50 years of life right between us that they can really try and fill me in on that I otherwise would not have. And I think that's how we have to think about it. There's so much that you missed, right, that people can catch you up on, and view that as holy, view that as powerful, and as necessary information and energy to help us in this struggle.
Mr. Krim, can I pivot the conversation to the current? Representative Pearson, we've looked at a government shutdown. We're looking at the end of Second Reconstruction, the attack on the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Both Republicans out of Texas, even Democrats in California, and others are trying to adjust the Voting Rights Act of 1965 to accommodate the political parties, but not accommodate the people who are intended to be elected, who've had voices silenced throughout the history of this nation and in this moment. And I really want to allow you the opportunity to lay the case for why Representative Pearson matters. And I say with great humility, because I'm asking the question, why this candidacy, which I am particularly profoundly excited about, matters at this hour against the backdrop of what is going on right now.
Yeah. I mean, again, if people try and take something away from you, it means it has some value. And if they are trying to take the Voting Rights Act away from us, which particularly is for people who live in majority Black African-American districts, they're trying to take that away from us, it's because it has value. And in my candidacy, it has value because the perspective and the history that I'm able to bring as a Black African-American person is only something that a Black African-American person is able to bring. Right, the history, the legacy, the hard work of our ancestors to build these districts like Memphis and like District 9 took a lot of years, a lot of decades, a lot of heartache, a lot of bloodshed, a lot of suffering to even get the opportunity to have these in the first place. And so the fact that it is under attack and under siege by this administration and by other white supremacists who don't want us to have representation in the United States Congress tells us why we need to direct our energy and our focus to demanding fair representation and to fight the racist maps that we are seeing. And in our community, we have to say, look, we know people can represent communities from all different types of backgrounds, different cultures, identities, perspectives, and that's well, and that is good. But in this moment and in this time, we have to remember the legacy of the people who got us this opportunity. And the reason that you have districts protected in the Voting Rights Act is because when we did not have those protections, we were being systematically denied access to the most powerful seats in government that could impact and change our lives. And when you look at the history over the last 20, last 30, last 40 years, we still aren't making near as much progress as we would like to make in our communities. But imagine how much worse it would be if we didn't even have access to the door to get into the room where decisions are being made. And this administration, the Supreme Court, this Congress, they're all trying to take us back and turn back the hands of time so that we're back into that position and that place. And we got to say that we aren't going back, that we are going to advocate to be in the room, but also to be power brokers in the decisions that we know can impact us, because we are Americans. We put our tax money into the system, and we deserve to have inputs back in our communities and back in our districts.
You know, I'm thinking in this moment, I'm supposed to be listening to this voice and your voice as well, Ernest, on CNN. I mean, I'm supposed to be hearing this voice communicate to me on MSNBC with the same integrity that it had when it stood up to the Tennessee legislature, which was major integrity with his other two colleagues. I'm thinking in this moment that the clarity that we need, we have 62 Blacks in Congress right now, 62, right? But there is no substitute for a Justin Pearson. I mean, there is no substitute for a John Lewis in the Congress and the moral authority and the integrity that they bring to this process. There's no substitute for it. There's no substitute for Ilhan Omar and Ayanna Pressley, and there is no substitute for Jim Clyburn and the wisdom and the knowledge and the institutional knowledge that they bring to bear in the Congress of the United States. Man, I want to know everything we can do to help you get to Congress. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, we're going to talk a little bit more about Donald Trump and this administration on Mr. Krim's Classroom. More when we come forward on KBLA with the Honorable Justin Pearson.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you coughing a lot, especially at night? Are you often short of breath? Are you using your rescue inhaler often? These could be signs that your asthma is not under control. To keep your asthma in check and help prevent an asthma attack, ask your healthcare provider for an asthma action plan. This is a personalized plan you create with your doctor that shows you what to do and what medicines to help control your asthma and to use when you're having a hard time breathing or when you're having an asthma attack. Please don't wait until you're having an asthma attack. Do something about it now. Schedule a visit with your healthcare provider today to make that action plan and take control of your asthma. For more tips and resources on the management of asthma, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply or price stopped. Opt out.
Hey man, how did the date go?
I had to cancel. I don't get paid until Friday.
You didn't know that you can get up to a $750 paycheck advance with the Current app?
Where was that information yesterday?
All you have to do is download the app, see if you qualify. $750. Boom.
You think I should call her back?
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
All right.
Need money before payday? Current has you covered. Set up an eligible direct deposit to see if you qualify for a paycheck advance of up to $750. Get ahead with Current. Text ACTION to 323232 to sign up today. That's ACTION to 323232. ACTION to 323232. ACTION to 323232.
Paycheck advance is offered by FindCo Advance LLC, a financial technology company, not an FDIC-insured bank. Eligibility and available amounts may vary and are subject to change at any time. For full terms and conditions, visit current.com or call 1-888-851-3177 for more information.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you got to make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. You'll find exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 50% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest this hour has been Representative Justin Pearson. And we are in Mr. Kim's classroom. In this, our final segment, we always leave our guests with a word of hope, the final 3 minutes of the program. I did want to press Representative Pearson, Mr. Krim, if it's okay with you, on the Trump administration, this movement towards authoritarianism, which obviously coincides with a particular nastiness towards African Americans. Mr. Krim and Representative Pearson, please come forward now on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Your campaign, in large measure, takes on a tremendous amount of symbolism with respect to a new generation coming to raise their voices at a national level that confront the injustice of our people. And when I think about it, again, Dr. King was 39 years old when he met his unfortunate, tragic fate on a balcony in Memphis, Tennessee on April 4th. He was 39 years old. And now he was there helping sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee. And now Justin Pearson, a young millennial, is standing up. And Mr. Ernest Krim, they're standing up at a time when the democracy itself that he sought to preserve is now under attack. Representative Pearson?
Yeah, look, it is no secret that we are seeing a disastrous move toward authoritarianism. The power that is being corrupted in Washington, D.C. with this Trump administration and the people who are in quote unquote leadership is terrifying. We are seeing what happens when you have a unitarian executive. Congress has abdicated all of its responsibilities. The Supreme Court is rubber stamping whatever this administration wants, giving it unprecedented powers for the presidency in recent memory. And it is not good for the future of democracy, which ultimately is the future of people to be able to live and to thrive in a society. It's not good for us because power is being corrupted and put into the hands of just a few people who all have billion in front of their name to the detriment to the rest of us. And this is a story we have seen before. We saw it across the South through the 60s. We saw it as it related to the enslavement of African Americans. We saw it with the genocide of indigenous people, the incarceration of Japanese folks. Like, there's a lot that is replaying in the traumatization, whether it be ICE and National Guard being deployed into our communities, or the literal starvation of people with the lapse in SNAP benefits recently. These are not good days, I think, for our country. And still, we have people like me and so many of us and you all who are saying we still believe that there's a better future possible. And we can't lose that belief, and we have to fight for it by taking hold of the remnants of democracy that we do have, advocating, protesting, showing up, speaking up, and using the platforms of power in this moment and in this time.
Mr. Krim?
Yeah, I think as I was reflecting on you all's last segment too, and I think about where we are now, I think it's important for folks to remember it's only been roughly 60 years since we have been able to vote without obvious barriers in place. Now, we know there's still barriers that exist, but there have been 60 years. America is celebrating 250 years next year. When you think about that in this perspective, you consider what we have done before then and since then and what we will continue to do. And to you all's previous point, too, of understanding that when they can try to take these things away, it lets you know just how valuable you are in this democracy. And as a history teacher, I reflect on how while they're doing all of this, while we're seeing this dictator work, he's also focusing on our historical memory too, right? He's also focusing on removing people like Dr. King and planting himself into these narratives, because he understands that the more we can remember about how we got here and how we overcame, the more we will instill that into our psyche today and use that as motivation to fight. And I'm always telling folks that the reason why they want you to forget what happened and what we went through and how great we are is because they want to continue to do the exact same things. Like what I see what's going on with Senator Mark Kelly, for example. I'm being reminded of what Andrew Johnson did. Who, like, there are people in this guy's circle that are very aware of history too. And that's on the other end, though. They want him to be this version of Andrew Johnson, Andrew Jackson, you know what I'm saying, Woodrow Wilson, Ronald Reagan, on a whole nother level. So we got to make sure that we are in tune with these cycles, because it ain't nothing new. They just doing it on full display on our social media feeds now.
Representative Pearson, at the end of our show, we always leave our guest with an opportunity for a word of hope. Our hard stop is at the top of the hour. Representative Pearson, can you share with the American people a word of hope?
Yeah. Look, there is still reason to have hope because we are still here. For 400 years, our ancestors have been in this country, making, pushing, preserving, fighting for a future that we are fortunate to live into. For surely this is, even this conversation itself is a prayer someone prayed in the cotton fields of Mississippi and the tobacco paddies of South Carolina, at the lynching trees here in Shelby County. We are still living into a dream that was whispered generations before any of us arrived. And we have to whisper into the future, into the winds of change, that our descendants, they will be able to experience a country, experience a time, experience a world where they are beloved, where they live and breathe with clean air, clean water, and clean soil, where they get to marry the loves of their lives, where they get to see a world that we prayed for, that we didn't just pray for with our voices, but we prayed for with our very hands, our very feet, our very hearts, and reminding ourselves and always remembering that there was something better possible. That's why we got to keep getting up. That's why we can't quit, because truly someone didn't quit on us. Someone didn't quit marching. Someone didn't quit talking. Someone didn't quit speaking. And because of that, we are here doing this, even now, in such difficult and dark times. And so keep the hope, because you are it. And hope itself is reciprocal. So if I give you hope, know that you give me hope. And that's how we keep this going for generations and generations to come. And if we keep the faith and hold the flame throughout all the winds and all the rains, the world that we'll leave behind will be a little bit better for beautiful Black children that are going to be born into it.
Wow.
Beautiful.
I mean, just wow. We are so fortunate and so blessed to have Representative Justin Pearson as our very special guest. Representative Pearson, who is this beautiful lady that we have a picture of you on the screen hugging?
That is my most beautiful wife, Oceanae Argillium Pearson. We got married on July 19th this year. We've been together for 5 years, known each other for 9, but she is everything. She's in law school. Pray for her right now. She's in her second week of finals, but she is so smart, so intelligent, so beautiful, and my Black queen, who I am so fortunate, agreed to marry me.
Terry Hord Owens is in our program. We have about a minute before we come forward to begin Terry's show. Terry, did you want to say something to the representative?
I just want people to know that Representative Justin Pearson was formed and shaped in the denomination that I lead, the Christian Church Disciples of Christ. He really is a preacher. I wish you could give him time. Justin could preach. I know this from having heard him. And his dad is a minister. His dad came out of Anointed Temple of Praise in Memphis, Tennessee, and now has his own church. And I was there, I think, at ATOP right after Justin was first elected in the special election, and got to greet him and meet him then. And Justin, I'm just so proud. I've been screaming backstage with what little voice I have, because I'm just so proud. This is the kind of person that our tradition can shape. I'm just so proud of you, Justin.
Well, I thank you so much. And I remember you preaching down the house at ATOP, and we are fortunate. That's my dad's mentor in Mississippi Boulevard Christian Church with Dr. Frank Anthony Thomas, who we're praying for. I got baptized in that church. I got married at Mississippi Boulevard. Christian.
Yes.
We've had a very rich hour on the Jesse Jackson Jr. show with on Mr. Krim's Classroom with Justin Pearson and, of course, Reverend Terry Hord Owens. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward. Justin, Ernest, thank you for being with us.
Good to see you, Ernest.
Good to see you too.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar is blasting President Trump's comments about Somali immigrants. Appearing on CBS's Face the Nation, Omar called the president's comments disgusting.
These are Americans that he is calling garbage.
Trump recently said Somali immigrants, quote, ruined Minnesota, end quote, and called them garbage, adding Omar should have never been allowed in Congress. This week is key in the fight over Obamacare subsidies. Senate Democrats secured a vote on extending the tax credits, which are set to expire this year. GOP lawmakers admit they're struggling to craft a fix, while Chuck Schumer's plan to extend subsidies for 3 years heads to a vote Thursday. And starting next year, the Trump administration is changing the free admission days for national parks. Martin Luther King Jr. Day and Juneteenth will be removed, while President Trump's birthday, also Flag Day, will be added. The Department of Interior is labeling these days as resident-only patriotic fee-free days. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams have the best record in the NFC after pounding the Arizona Cardinals Sunday 45-17. The win puts the Rams at 10-3, a game ahead of the Chicago Bears, who lost to Green Bay Sunday. 3 more touchdown passes for Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford. The Rams had 530 yards in total offense. The 8-4 Chargers are at home tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles at SoFi. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert is going to start tonight, 1 week after having surgery to repair a fractured bone in his left hand. Tavis Smiley's Indiana Hoosiers are the #1 seed in the college football playoffs. Undefeated Indiana beat Ohio State Saturday for the Big Ten Conference Championship. Indiana will have a first-round bye. They will play the winner of the December 19th Oklahoma-Alabama game on New Year's Day at the Rose Bowl. Each school in the 12-team playoff bracket will receive $4 million. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Moving Mountain Mondays. Moving Mountain Mondays, our regular contributor. None other than Reverend Carrie Teresa Howard Owens, the General Minister and President of the Christian Church, Disciples of Christ, in the United States and Canada. She's an author and an advocate for church living out its calling. She is the first person of color and second woman to lead the denomination. Since her election in 2017, Reverend Howard Owens' ministry actively reflects the disciples' priority of being an anti-racist church, being a movement for wholeness, welcoming all of the Lord's to the Lord's table as God has welcomed all of us. In keeping with the disciples' historic commitment to Christian unity, she serves in leadership at the National Council of Churches as the treasurer of the governing board and a member of the World Council of Churches Central Committee. Madam President, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Good to be with you. This time last week, I had no voice. I have more of a voice, so I'm on the mend, but thanks for all the good wishes and prayers that came my way.
We are honored to have what voice you have. It blesses us throughout the entire week. And I've just been informed that I don't know how much longer he can stay with us, but a member of your denomination who is so impressive is decided to take that extraordinary leap into public life, initially as a state representative, but now at the next level, a necessary and needed voice in the Congress of the United States, someone who understands the history of our people, the history of our struggle, and the course that the spirit energy of our people from 1619 to the present really does matter. And in a real sense, There is no doubt in my mind, Reverend Owens, that you have been part of the nurturing process for bringing forward the kind of leadership that we expect out of Justin Pearson in the Congress of the United States. Representative Pearson, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here, and so glad to be Reverend Owens as well. And I just wanted to take 1 minute to say thank you for your leadership. I am immensely grateful and humbled by it. But what the disciples of Christ has shown is the vision that we all need to be thinking of, which is a vision of liberation. And at its best, our faith should push us and propel us to change the circumstances in which we currently reside. And if there's poverty, then we have to do something to tackle it. If there's we have to do something to bring hope. And if there's a place where there's a void, we have to do the work of filling it. And so your leadership is touching the denomination in so many ways. And I'm glad to be one of the people who's a beneficiary of it and to do that work moving forward.
Amen.
Madam President,
Amen.
Madam President, this is your hour. I don't know how much longer the representative is going to be
Yeah.
with us. We'll find out.
I just wanted to ask, and thanks again, Justin, for staying for a few minutes. I know how busy you are. I'm on sabbatical, so yay. I just want maybe you to speak to the importance of the legacy of your faith in terms of how it informs the stands that you take, the moral courage that you've exhibited, insisting, that episode where you stood in the floor of the state House of Representatives and insisted that you be reinstated. How does your faith play a role in what you do? You're not proselytizing, but how has it formed you as a leader?
I mean, it's everything. My faith is everything into who I am and who I am becoming. And it's the lens in which I view the world. Quite literally, I take Matthew 25:35 to heart when Jesus articulates, what does it take to enter into the kingdom of heaven? It is what you do for the least of these. And when we think about the issues of gun violence, the access to healthcare, those are the things that give me strength and courage to say, like, I know that we are right politically, but we are also right morally. And when the voices of people who have lost their lives to gun violence, the number one killer of people, of children under the age of 18, happens and we do nothing, I get the moral clarity and the moral courage from a faith that says it's our responsibility to speak up for those who've been pushed to the periphery. It's our responsibility to elevate the voices of those that can't even speak anymore and still call out and demand justice. And sometimes that does require you being at the periphery, you being pushed aside and suffering even for those stances, because the Savior in our faith tradition, right, suffered. And so certainly there will be some suffering for us in order for us to get more salvation on this side, not just on the other side.
I couldn't have put it better. It's really all about your neighbor being as important as you, and that's a hard call, I think, sometimes for folks to make. What caused you to decide to run for Congress? I'm really curious as to the thought process that went into that decision.
Thank you so much for that question. That's one of my favorite ones, and I appreciate that. And I'm sorry I have to go after this, but I'm running for Congress, one, because I love this district and this community. And that breach that I was just articulating is the one that we are suffering with right now. 38% of our kids are living underneath the poverty line. We're suffering right now with the need for 55,000 units of affordable housing. And we have corporations buying up our neighborhoods, hiking the rents, making it nearly insufferable for people to survive. And in the state of Tennessee, and you know this, we have the highest medical debt of any state in the country. People are struggling to live, and it's the responsibility of our elected leaders to make it better for everybody, not just for those who, not for those who just have the titles and the positions and power, but for all of God's children. And that's the work that I want to do in Congress. That's the work we've been pushing for in the State House. And with your help, with God's help, we're going to get it done.
Well, prayers are going to be going up for you, my friend, and just so proud of you. Thanks for taking this time to be with us. Appreciate you. Love you so much.
Representative Pearson, thank you for being with us. Representative Justin Jamal Pearson, I look forward to serving with you in the Congress of the United States. Should God bless me, because I believe he is definitely going to bless you. Look forward to seeing you there, my brother. And hopefully you'll come back and spend more time with us on the faith. Looking forward to it.
Take care.
Reverend Terry Hord Owens, what are you all producing over there in that church?
Let me just tell you, I literally was screaming when I logged in. And so I always try to log in early to hear what's happening in the first hour. And I was like, Justin, oh my gosh. Yeah, powerful young man. Disciples know him. He is a force in Memphis. He really is. his whole family. But he's a young man. I think he may be 30. I'm not sure if he's even 30.
31.
He was not 30 when he was first elected. But yeah, I think that's communications specialists that we have consulted with tell us all the time that the disciples of Christ, given what we say we are, it's what people are looking for. A movement really that cares about love of God, but also love of neighbor, and doesn't put up any strange orthodoxies in terms of being welcome and included, and a church. And he comes out of, there is a Black tradition within the disciples of Christ, even though it's a predominantly a white church. So it's important to name that he does come out of a Black church tradition.
Terry?
I think that has also helped to shape him. But I've been fortunate to interact with him and his dad and that home community, Mississippi Boulevard in Memphis, which has produced a lot of leaders in our church.
Terry, more when we come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Reverend Terry Howard Owens on The Faith Not to Fall on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more